We made it. Finally, it is the Queen season 1 season finale. Season 1 episode 13, and the episode is titled 2022. Getting right to it, the episode begins with the ladies doing a cipher, kind of the way we started the show off. In the earlier episodes of the season, they begin with a cipher to Uchi Wally by Nas. I have to tell you, I never thought that there would be a day in mainstream TV, pop TV, and ABC has kind of always been more so a white network. We're just gonna say what it is. I never thought that I'd see a day where Nas would be on ABC with Uchiwali being like a main trending record, playing on this show. I never thought, you know what I mean? But because Uchiwali, if you know the explicit version and the unedited version, and hip hop, then you know about Uchiwali and you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, they're having a cipher. They're discussing plans at the studio. At the same time, back at the house, Eric is way up before JoJo. He says that he couldn't sleep, and JoJo notices a box. Says that he's planning to propose to Naomi, and as the ladies discuss plans back at the studio, they kind of try to figure out what to do without Bree being there, and they also bring up Muffin's college tour and Valeria's solo tour, but she feels weird about doing a tour without the group being there. Valeria is also single again. She told her husband the truth about not wanting to have a baby. And she said they cried, they talked, they love each other, but she wasn't willing to sacrifice, and he doesn't want to resent her down the road. They kind of muddled over that. They didn't really see a conversation between the two of them. They just showed, retro footage of, her saying she didn't really want to have a baby, which we kind of knew from the previous episode that she didn't really want to have a baby, but it's like, you married this dude for what? You did this for what? You know what I mean? Valeria is just all over the place. Still. Anyway, let's see what else is next after that. Jojo and Eric are discussing the proposal plans that Eric has for Naomi, and then Naomi's there, so she sees Jojo. Jojo gives her a hug. Jojo heads out to school, and that's really that. Back at the house, it's the house is kind of everybody's compound now. The only person who's not really always there is Valeria, and even still, she finds a way to beat her like Maxine Shaw from Living Single because she's the only one that has her own house. Um, Muffin is talking to Jill about her college tour, and basically only 20 people showed up, and then what Muffin refers to as 20 liberal white kids. And after this show at the college, her fans actually approach her and say they love her music. They've always been fans, but they love her music now even more because she's talking about real things such as, justice and reform, and you know, crimes being, small petty crimes being something that, black people are being locked up a lot longer than they should be for all type of stuff. And they invite her to this place called the commissary for coffee. And at first Muffin was a little bit hesitant, but Jill makes her go. And there's that. Eric and Naomi are having that night out on the town. This is supposed to be when he proposes, all of that good stuff. He's being romantic, but Naomi can actually tell that he's nervous. And she's like, he was sweating. You ordered a couple of bottle of wine or champagne or whatever it was, all type of stuff. Just typical nerves that you would have before you propose to somebody. And Naomi says that she's cold, and she asked for Eric's jacket. He was like, nah. And she was like, you really have to give me a jacket? And I think, of course, obviously, because the ring is in there. So, she take the jacket, the whole proposal is blown. So he was like, well, before all of that, let's just sit down, let's just talk. So as he's getting ready to get into the proposal, JoJo calls. Not once, but twice. And Naomi says she doesn't call twice unless there's an emergency. And JoJo's on the phone crying. She's hysterical. They get back to the house, and JoJo says she pulled up in the driveway and that a man who's a process server approached her with documents from Cameron, who wants to establish paternity because, as we all know, Naomi discussed paternity with him and didn't say but so much. after her and Eric started dealing with each other again, we never saw Cam again. And it always dawned on me, like, I know she mentioned the fact that Cam could potentially be JoJo's father. I know that conversation was had. I know I ain't tripping. And sure enough, that conversation was had. It's just that the conversation was never had again. They never spoke about it again. And Eric and JoJo, are upset and confused by this. And Eric asked why he wasn't told. Naomi was like, it wasn't his business. And also too, it happened when those two were discussing Valeria, and she was upset. Cam happened to be in a hotel. She needed a friend. She needed a shoulder to lean on, shoulder to cry on. He was there. We know how this thing goes. We've seen this in a million movies, a million TV shows, and it also happens in real life too. And Cam comforted her. We saw it in The Best Man. You know what I mean? And she confirmed that Cam could be the father, even though she believes that JoJo is Eric's kid. There's a chance, even no matter how long ago it was, she does have just a little bit of a thought that JoJo could be Cam's kid. We see Muffin sitting with the fans at the commissary. They're an advocacy group, and they're talking about criminal justice reform, the laws, and they bring up a young black man named Ronnie Mills, who is 28 and went to prison at 18 for being convicted of a murder of a man on his 18th birthday at the mall. Ronnie says it was self-defense. A jury of his peers say it was premeditated murder. And these fans, this group, want Muffin to take this case because they feel that she has a platform, she has something to say, and they feel that she's probably the only celebrity who would listen to them and take them seriously, and that they want her to know she still has a voice, and she needs to use this voice for this specific thing. Because if they take on this case, they could potentially get something done about his execution that is pending in 150 days. Hours, excuse me, not days, hours. Back at the house, Jill and Naomi are discussing the paternity about JoJo, about Eric. JoJo isn't talking to anyone except Muffin. And then Eric is discussing his thoughts with Valeria, and then Valeria says things are gonna happen how they're gonna happen, but things don't have to change. I've seen you grow into a great father. I've seen you become somebody who I never thought you'd become. Things don't have to change at all. Which is basically the same thing that Muffin says to JoJo. Muffin basically lets JoJo know, listen, you're grown. You don't have to say or do anything that you don't want to do. Cam can't make you take a test. You're not a minor. Only thing he can do is get into the house and steal your toothbrush. But nothing has to change. At the end of the day, you find out, and then what? And Jill tells Naomi to apologize. Muffin has been researching the death penalty. In the middle of her explaining the case, she seems unsure of the case and if this is really what she wants to do with the last little bit of fame that she has left. Eric comes in, says he was on the phone with Chuck D from the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, and then on that call, he got a call from Chuck D saying that he wanted to induct the Nasty Bees because there's only one female group in hip hop to sell over 4 million records in the last 20 years, and that will be them. And it's been 20 years since that project. And while they could do it next year, they wanted to do it this year because this is the 20th year since that project. They have a week to prepare for the ceremony, and they want Bree to be a part of it, but because she's still in Costa Rica, they have to approach her and ask her about it. And Naomi says it's the only way they can do it. And they approach her, and she says, sure, I'm in. Muffin is at the prison. She meets with the guy, Ronnie Mills, and she's discussing the case with him. And this scene was actually probably my favorite scene because it was probably the most realistic scene, and it was also very sad. Whoever the actor is that played this character was very, very convincing, and it was sad. It was sad as a black person to watch that. You know what I mean? Like, just and to know that as a black adult and as a black guy in this country that could really happen to you. It was sad. It was sad. The scene definitely was sad. He definitely got that across very well. He basically has come to terms with it. He's made peace with it. He's come to the reality and the conclusion that this is gonna happen to him. They bond over anime. They talk about how he's given up hope. After Muffin asked, so you basically give it up. He was like, yeah, because it used to keep him up at night, thinking that somebody was gonna come save him for the last 9 years. But now he sleeps. And Muffin actually, is just sad about it because she's just like, she feels helpless because he feels so helpless that he gave up hope. So, he's hopeless, she's helpless, and it was a sad scene. She looked like she was getting ready to actually cry or whatever the case may be. But he says that he's free of expectations and that he's at peace. And, she says she has a question. He was like, was it really self defense? And she was like, yeah. And he said yes. And he said, but this fight that she's in with him is not about him. It's about the next man that they're going to put in his position. And then he says, put him onto some new anime. And as Muffin leaves the jail, she is bombarded by press and reporters and asks if she plans to petition the governor. And she says she plans to let the world know about his story, his case, and that there should be no child put behind bars without a fair case and without a fair trial. Back at the house, Valeria walks in to sit with Naomi. They drink wine, and they ask about each other's lives and each other's situation. Valeria sits down and asks about Eric and how he's been, and then Naomi said he's been amazing. He's been, great through everything. It's almost hard to believe this is the same guy from 20 years ago. Valeria says Thomas picked up the rest of his stuff, and ironically, she's now trying to figure out who she should love or how she should be in love or if she even cares about being in love. Again, did she just let the last real thing in her life go? It's so weird. These two are actually the closest in the group now. They bond the most. Don't forget, these two were really, really enemies. They hated each other. Naomi wasn't forgiving her. Valeria wasn't apologizing because she didn't feel she was in the wrong. And these two are actually the closest. It's so strange. But it's nice to see. She's questioning should she have, let Thomas go, or if she'll ever love again, or if she even really cares. And Eric walks in and says while he was on the phone with the hip hop honors that Bree called and says that she's not coming. She was on her way to the airport, but she turned around and said that she couldn't do it. And but he says, these things happen all the time. You should get somebody to replace her for the show. And then Naomi's like, no, we can't do this without Bree. But the thing about it is Bree told Eric to tell the ladies, please do this, accept this, please go on without me. And Valeria agreed. She said, listen, if she told us to do this with her blessing, then we should do it. The one thing that her being shot taught me is that nothing is promised and nothing lasts forever. And now we got to take things when they happen. Let's see. Oh, and at this point, JoJo comes downstairs and says she loves Eric, she appreciates him, but she needs to know the truth about her paternity. Muffin gets pressed around this Ronnie Mills case and then even ends up on CNN and scores a meeting with the governor in Nevada. At this point, we get Mary J coming on Family Affair, which is a big week for Family Affair because, as we know, Mary just performed it at the Super Bowl and crushed it. And so Family Affair is just all over the place with the streams and the sales right now, just all over the top of the charts. Good for her. Go get that new Mary album, Good Morning Gorgeous. Just an incredible album. Mary's on her breakthrough energy again. Love it. And stream Rent Money. The governor leaves Muffin hanging all day and waiting in the office all day. Blows off the meeting. Has the secretary going out there being the mouthpiece. Apparently the governor had an emergency and had to leave. And Muffin is now defeated, which is what the governor wanted to happen. I want you to be defeated so you stop fighting this and so you leave me alone so I can blow this case off because I don't really care. Back at the house, Jill tries to convince Muffin, to not give up, to keep fighting because if you don't keep fighting, then who else does Ronnie have? And, Muffin is just like, I want to go back to my old life to when I cared about nothing, to where I was rapping and I was not bothered by a damn thing. I just want to go back to that life. I can't even afford to live the way that I used to live. The girls are trying to find someone to fill Bree's spot for the ceremony. They toss around names like Lauryn Hill, Cardi, Megan, Missy, but Jill says they need to offer it to somebody who's family, and that somebody will be Muffin because she did the same for them, which brought them back and got them to where they are right now. And without that, they wouldn't even be together again. And Muffin said that she's down. She's not Bree, but she's down. And as long as the choreography ain't the old lady choreography that they do, then she's in. And then we enter Fatima Robinson. Y'all know Fatima. Fatima's been the choreographer the entire show. Fatima has worked with everyone in the game. Michael Jackson, Aaliyah, you know her from that, but she also just recently choreographed the Super Bowl as well. Um, so shout out to Fatima. Um, so Zadie is on this episode as well, aka Lady Z. She's introducing him at the ceremony, and the ladies get a shout out from Trina, and she says the Heart of Queens album, which was their debut album, actually influenced Trina, and when she was recording her album, she listened to it in the studio all night long. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, the moment I had hoped for, we have Bree making an appearance. And Bree brought up all the good times, all the bad times. She went down every member of the group and how she loves them for who they are, their personalities, and how, just each and every one of them made this group possible. And she wouldn't have made it through if it weren't for each and every one of them. And they're not just group members, they're sisters, and she loves them. And she also says that she would see them soon, and that, everything that happened to them could have and should have broken them, but it didn't. And she always lets everybody know she used to be a nasty bee, but now she's a queen. They perform, and Muffin starts it off giving a history lesson about death row inmates and their wrongful convictions. And, she actually gives out the Nevada governor's cell phone number to get justice for Ronnie, because at the end of the day, you wanted to blow her off. Well, now she's going to blow you up. JoJo receives a message during the show, and Naomi from the side of the stage, or Naomi from the stage, sees the side of the stage and sees JoJo rush over and bring her phone to Eric, which clearly looks to be some good news. And I'm assuming that the news is Eric is the father, because he seems excited, he seems relieved, and they hug and, rejoice and all of that good stuff. And, that was, I'm sure, the outcome that everybody wanted. It was just nice for it to have some closure, because I really didn't know, because there was never a test done. And I was like, well, how you know this one or that one is the dad, but there was never a test done? That was the thing that had my mind rolling this entire season. Like, wait a minute, there was never a test done. Anyway, 4 months later, well, no, excuse me, backstage after this show, Eric proposes. 4 months later, we see Eric and Naomi's wedding, where Muffin, Valeria, Jill are all bridesmaids, and Eric reaffirms that he has always been in love with Naomi. It's always been her, and he promised to make this family complete and legit, and he promises to stay this version of himself. He's not the guy that he was 20 years ago. After the wedding, the crew is at the table celebrating. Valeria is on tour, selling out every night. Jill is signing talent to Nasty Girl Records, managing everybody. Muffin got Ronnie's execution pushed, and she also got into USC. And the girls are once again reflecting on their times together as a group, how good things were, how strong things were, and how they are as a unit, and how Valeria would rather be on tour with them than to be on the road alone without them. And then in the middle of them talking about the good days, they receive a message from who but Bree, and it's just a picture of the four of them, which I believe it is signaling her return to the group. And then we cut to the group headlining Madison Square Garden. During the introduction, we see everybody's name and spotlight light up like we did when the show first started. And then it cuts as soon as you introduce the fourth and final person and their spotlight, which I'm assuming is going to lead us to believing that Bree has returned to the group for next season, should they get a season. So I really hope they do, because I think they deserve it. I think this was a very solid first season. But yeah, that was the season finale of Queens. Not too much happened. We've had more exciting episodes. We've had episodes with more uproar and, more spice from the ladies, throughout the show. But I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought this was a solid first season. I can't wait to see if they get renewed. I really hope that they do. If not, this was great to witness anyway, because I'm a huge hip-hop fan and I love music. So I thought it was great. What was your favorite part of this season in general and this episode? Did everything tie up for you? Did you get all your questions answered? And are you hoping for a season 2, or was this season good enough for you? What did you guys think? I would love to see Taraji reprise her role as Cookie on the show, just in some sort of way, shape, or form, even if it's a guest appearance. I think that she would fit perfectly. Let's say if the ladies, do something different with the label, or if they, get a new manager, however. But either way, thank you to everybody for tuning in, and we're going to find something else to review soon. Thank you to everybody, this little tiny YouTube community that tunes in and watches and reviews and comments and likes and shares and subscribes. Don't forget to like, rate, comment, subscribe, and share and all of that good stuff. And I'll see you for whatever's next. Thank y'all. Later.